Hi, I'm Peter. This week's video is going to be a bit more of a diary. Uh, I've had a pretty good week. The first thing I want to tell you about is an update to Navigator. Uh, the first, my, One of my priorities with Navigator was to create a game system that other people can take and adapt and modify. When I built it, the actual game mechanics were all written by me. A lot of the genre material was taken from White Box, White Star, and that was derived from Swords and Wizardry. So all of that side of it was controlled or licensed under the OGL Open Game License. In a Discord conversation earlier this week, someone was asking for a completely free, a Creative Commons licensed D100 system. And I thought, well, hang on, if I take out the Swords and Wizardry side of it and the White Star, what you're left with is something written entirely by me, and I can license it how I like. So I talked to the person, explained that I could do that, and a few other people got quite excited by it. And before I knew it, there was a GitHub set up to manage it, and we are working on something called the Bare Metal Edition. And I am every night I'm spending an hour just ripping out everything that I didn't write to create a Creative Commons 4.0 by license. The only restriction on what you can do is you just have to credit that the core of the system came from, or you've adapted the Bare Metal Edition. No restrictions. You can do anything you like with it, which is moving the goal, what I wanted in the first place, forward. So that is an unexpected new project. It's really exciting. It's really quite easy as well. It's much easier to take stuff out and delete it than it is to write it in the first place. So that's really exciting. If you want to get involved, you should be able to search GitHub for Bare Metal Edition or search for Navigator RPG and you'll be able to find it from there. The other exciting thing is Monday's release was the Castles and Crusades Crusaders Solo Handbook. Now, this is the PDF of the book. Now it's PDF only at the moment because Lightning Source, who do the print on demand, oh, 1 second, that would help if you can actually see the book I'm talking about. Lightning Source, who create the print on demand books, they are taking 22 to 24 days to print books at the moment. I think it's all part of the restrictions from the pandemic. Maybe it's supply issues. I don't really know. What it means is there is no point in putting proof orders in if they're going to take 3-4 weeks to arrive, and if they're not right, you're then talking another 3 or 4 weeks. It could be 7-8 weeks just to get the print proofs, and anyone ordering it has got the same problem. So it's easier to wait until things go a little bit back to normal and the print times come down, and then I'll sort out the print on demand versions. The book's 34 pages, and that print on demand demands a even page count, and often has to be divisible by 4. Now the print on demand won't have this cover page, and there is a page at the end I can drop. So that will be 32, so it's divisible by 4, and obviously an even page count. This book was ready to print, ready to release say 3 weeks ago, but I was waiting for the Troll Lords to finalise their third-party publisher guidelines. Part of that was this green logo here and the shield, and part of the guidelines said that the Castles and Crusades had to be smaller than my own logo, which is Tinkerbell, and it couldn't be above it. They don't want you to masquerade as an official book. So here in the stack, we've got Tinkerbell, the Castles and Crusades, and the third party. And here again, it's Tinker comes first. I quite like the cover art. That's Mohammed Hassan did the cover art. The other credit is for Fat Goblin Games, Rick Hershey. The document template, obviously the pages are reversed here. The document template is their official Pathfinder one, but I just think it's quite attractive. All of the stock art is also Fat Goblin Games. Looks quite nice. So 34 page is going to be print on demand eventually, but that was went live Monday morning. Now it's selling quite well. Very, very pleased with it. Last night it was mentioned on the Troll Lords Ask Me Anything Twitch feed, and that is going to be on their YouTube channel. And that's great. If people want to talk about my books and tell the audience about it, I absolutely love that. Now, this book has sold, I think it is 27 copies in 3 days. If I bring up drive-through, right now, 27 copies over 3 days gets it to 7th place in the most popular under $5. That's if my browser was full screen, that would be on the first page, if you like. No scrolling required. It falls under the other unique systems because it's the solo there. That is a much more competitive field than just the under $5. We are it is the 10th most popular system for other systems. Now, hope there, I wrote the solo rules for that as well. It's nice to get lots of screen space here. Now this is OSR. Now we're down to 12th place. Much more competitive. Now this one I get a lot of screen space from. That I published that. I wrote that. I helped with that one. I published that. I published that. I think there's more of mine down here as well. That's the Spanish translation of one of my books. I wrote that. Published that. So yeah, it's lots of screen space. These generate lots of sales. But getting back on track, 12th place under OSR. Now, Castles and Crusades, this is the absolute target audience. I'm the hottest title there, the newest title as well, and the most popular. So I also, PPM, that is parts per million now. When we started, it was Peter, Paul and Marcus, but the other two didn't do any writing, so they dropped out eventually. So this is, this is a good week. Lots of front page screen space. Mention on YouTube, mention on Twitch. It really good. Now the third thing I want to talk about, the last thing I want to talk about, is GURPS. Now this is my own website. It's very minimalist. It's mostly just my blog. I have a habit of trying to develop in public. Now, if we scroll back to the recent posts, GURPS started here for me. Someone on Twitter, Logan, asked about GURP solo rules, and they wanted tech level 7, tech level 8, because so much focus on fantasy. Now, I had just written Navigator, which is sci-fi, and I've been working on Simbaroom, which is fantasy, to a little bit of tech level 7 and 8. That's kind of the digital age, 20th century. I thought that would be an interesting change. So I started looking at GURPS. I know nothing about GURPS. As I said, I'm new to it. And yeah, I liked what I saw. Move on a few days, and I do a little check-in here. And I'd researched the solo world for GURPS, and it's really, really negative. The only person that's doing anything constructive here is the collaborative gamer, um, Joe, and Ubiquitous Rat uses Mythic, which I think is Mythic is D100 and it's very involved. Lots and lots of roles. That's one thing I step away from. What I like is rules light, and if GURPS is 3d6 roll under, I want the solo rules to be 3d6 roll under, so you're not kind of swapping mindset. So in here, I am discussing as I'm learning GURPS and starting to write the solo rules, and I'm kind of developing in public. Now, by the end of last week, we were talking about playtesting. The rules weren't really finished. I was using a little bit of Scion to support what I hadn't written. But the nice thing about developing in public is that I've got followers that absolutely love GURPS, and they've got more experience. They can feed in. So by developing in public and posting it on a almost every other day basis, people that enjoy the game can have an input. If I make a mistake, they can tell me before it goes too far. My inspiration here is very much Miami Vice, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop. That's the vibe I'm going for. My PC is Jack Bowie. His partner is Jim Adams. So one PC, one NPC, and yeah, got the playtest, and then the most recent post was feeding back how it works, and I want these rules. I don't own this book, but I think it would add more to my game. So, which is role players, we always want it all, but there's more about sort of the discussion of house rules I'm introducing, the inspiration behind it. So this is developing in public, and I've got another weekend of playtesting up ahead of me. I think I can get this written up in the rest of this week. I've now got all my rules sorted. Final playtest over the weekend. This will be my final release of the month. So 3 books out this month, and GURPS. It's a popular system. I've thoroughly enjoyed learning how to play it and playing it. I might have to buy a few more books, which is kind of counterproductive. But yeah, that's my week. Castles and Crusades, Navigator, Bare Metal, and GURPS.